Hello everyone, my name is Greg and I dev stuff. Welcome everyone to episode 4 of Stardew Valley like game in Unity. In this episode we will add day and night cycle to our game and fix some issue we left in previous episode. From now on, let's set a rule between us. Each time when you start the next episode, we will clean our root folder of the project. Move every script, every object, everything into their appropriate folders. So let's do it. Clean your root folder. Meanwhile, I forgot to prefab our tree. Let's prefab the tree. Let's begin by fixing few things from previous episode. We need to fix the placement of our highlight object when we determine the position of the object. For now, let's simply add a little distance up, so it will appear above the object. Now we were going to migrate to an universal render pipeline. One day, maybe Unity will adopt it as their primary render system, and it will be in your project by default. At this point, you can skip the step by going to the timestamp you will see on the screen. We will need to add a new package into our game. Open the package manager by clicking window on top and selecting package manager. Find universal RP, which stands for render pipeline, and install it. The universal render pipeline, URP, is a pre-built scriptable render pipeline made by Unity. After it is done installing itself, create a new pipeline asset by right-clicking in the asset view of the project window and selecting Create Rendering Universal Render Pipeline Asset Forward Renderer. Create a new 2D renderer by clicking in the asset view of the project window and selecting Create Rendering Universal Render Pipeline 2D renderer. Select the created pipeline asset, then assign the created 2D renderer to the first item under General Renderer list. In the graphics setting, set your scriptable render pipeline setting to use this created pipeline asset. Now we need to upgrade our project. To upgrade all our prefabs and materials in your project, go to Edit, Render Pipeline, Universal Render Pipeline, 2D Renderer, Upgrade Project to 2D Renderer. And then upgrade the scene. Good, now we want to change our illumination to simulate the passage of time. To create day and night cycle, create a new object in Light 2D Global Light. This will create an object with global light for 2D sprites. If you select the object, you can see a color field. And if you try to change the color, you will see the area tinting towards the new color. We will use this to create an illusion of changing day to night. So now for day and night cycle, we need to create a daytime controller on the game manager. Open the newly created script. We need to create a variable which will store the current time of the day. So declare a float variable called time. This variable will store the time of day based on the seconds. So we will use how many seconds are in the day for calculations. Create a new constant variable called second in day and input the amount of seconds in the day. Now let's declare color variables. Night light color and daylight color with default value of color white. These variables will store the color tint you want to apply to your world and slowly apply it based on the time of day. Let me demonstrate you something. Imagine if you right now change the light to this color. It will immediately jump to this state. But in real life, it is a gradual, slow process. To simulate this, we want to use something called animation curves. Let the animation part of the name not confuse you. They are the image of the continuous function. And that means that we can discern certain values based on those functions. Declare animation curve for night color. Let's call it nighttime curve. In the editor, in the inspector, you can see a curve. Good. Click on it. Look at this curve right now. It represents the range between 0 and 1 with floating point. And if we input into this curve a value, it will return a value corresponding to the curve position on the range. For example, on this curve, the value of 0 will return 0, because the starting position is over here at the bottom. If we input 1, it will return 1, because it is over here at the top. And if we feed it with any value in the range from 0 to 1, it will return a value according to the curve. So we can manipulate it by creating more keyframes, by double-clicking on curve shape, and then moving it around. So, now after setting it like this, on 0 it will return 0, on 1 it will return 0, and on 0.5 it will return 1. But besides using range between 0 and 1, we can actually use range between 0 and 24 to simulate a time of day. Reset curve by selecting any of those curves at the bottom. If we select the last frame and edit it, we can change its time to 24. This way we can make it so it will have a range between 0 and 24 to represent the schedule of whole day. Because we are using it for the night, let's shape it for the night time. That means at, let's say, 21-hour mark, we will start climbing up. So mark 2 keyframes. To avoid the rest of the area curving like this, click on the keyframe and select Free Smooth. And that at 0 hours at the beginning of the day, at top frame, in the beginning and slope it down at some point to represent the morning. Now we need to track the time. In the update, add the time delta time to hours time variable. Let's show hours time on the screen. To do this, create a serialized reference to the text object and assign the time with toString to this text object. Create a new text object on the scene and assign it to the daytime controller. Let's test this. As you can see, it is ticking in real time, so to speak. This means that 1 second is equal to a real life 1 second. And in our case, this is not acceptable. We want to make it so 1 day is equals to a smaller time frame for the player, like 30 minutes or something. For this, simply introduce a serialized variable called timescale. This variable will multiply the time delta time. So if we multiply it by 60, for example, it will mean that 1 second of real life will be equal to 1 minute in the game, because 1 minute has 60 seconds, making 1 day a 24-minute time frame in the game. So you can easily just change this value and it will scale the flow of time. Higher the number, faster the day will move. Good. So now you have a thing which counts the seconds of your day. Because we are using the range between 0 and 24 on our curve, we need to get hours. So let's make a property which will return the hours, which will return amount of hours by dividing time by amount of seconds in 1 hour. Let's test it by posting into the text. Good. Now we have our curve. We have a color for the night, and we have time in hours. So curve represents the prevalence of the color in the light at a certain point of time. So let's say at 1 at night you get pitch black night, because on the curve the night color will be 1, completely replacing the daylight color. Create a serialized reference to the light 2D script, so we will be able to apply our color. Make sure you select the experimental rendering universal. Later on it might come out of experimental, but we will still be using the universal rendering pipeline. So just pay attention to the updates, and if you are confused at this point and Unity is throwing you some kind of error, please check the Unity manual for a rendering pipeline. Now in the update, use hours to get the value from the night curve. And use it to lerp colors between daylight and nightlight colors. And let's add check. If hours time is more than seconds in the day, we will create and call a new function called next day. Inside we will nullify the seconds and add 1 to a day count. We don't have a day count. Well, let's create an integer called day count. In the editor, set up the colors, and if we launch the game, it should cycle between day and night indefinitely. Good, now let's post the current time on the screen. Store the hours into the int variable and put them into the text. Use 0 as a formatic sign. This will make sure that it will always place at least some kind number here. That means if you put 2 zeros and you have 7 which you want to put on the screen, it will print out 0, 7. If you put 3 zeros, it will show 0, 0, 7. So because we are using time, which is represented by 2 numbers, we will use 0, 0. So if, for example, you are 9 in the morning, it will show 0, 9. Good. This is it for this episode. If you have any questions or any ideas about the code, please leave your comment below. If you are interested in seeing what will come out of this, please subscribe. If you want to support further, you can find my Patreon in the description. With best regards, see you in the next episode.